So I would like to now bring into the discussion Clare. So Clare O'Shea is founder of Marlowe Sales Academy, who's expert in sales skills training, particularly strategic relationships. So that's why I wanted to talk to Clare about opportunity management and understanding stakeholders as much as anything. So again, I'm going to fire straight into questions. And why are stakeholders and understanding stakeholders, why is that so important?
A lot of it is really understanding the buying process. Like you, Fred, I've been involved in strategic selling for about 20 years now, with more than 15,000 salespeople I've sold to. But before we even get to these stakeholders bit, there is a link here. One is, I think Vidyard is brilliant, by the way. I don't use it enough, but it is unbelievably easy. Such a great tool. But also, I just want to take you to a call I had actually this week. Well, I had it with a customer. Actually, it was a supplier. I do a little bit of associate work for this particular supplier. All three people on the call, none of them had their video on. I had my video on. And at the end of the call, I was frankly a bit peed off. I couldn't work out why I was in such a bad mood. And I came away actually thinking, do I really want to work with this organisation anymore? Because I just felt so disconnected, because I thought they made no effort and it was all a bit bitty and it wasn't very organised. I get away with that sort of stuff. But it was interesting about this thing of is more personal. I agree with Tyler. Actually, virtual, we can have more connection with people because it doesn't matter where they are. As going back to stakeholders, in the olden days, what people used to always talk about was find the main man, find the big cheese, find the economic buyer. And it was all about the decision maker. And that is so last century. So we know that over the last particularly 3 to 5 years, and this is to do with the more complex sale. I tend to get involved in large technology programs and stuff, helping customers, salespeople to sell large technology items and stuff. But going for the big cheese, the big decision maker is just crazy. It's very old fashioned. And it's about understanding all of the stakeholders involved, because we know that in the last 3 to 5 years, the number of people involved in the decision making process is far more than it's ever been. Far, far more. The other thing is there's definitely been a massive rise of consensus-based decision-making. So obviously with more people involved, more consensus decision-making going on, they both sort of go hand in hand. There's also been sort of increased risk, probably since 2008 and the bankers ruined the world for us. There's a bit more risk going on there as well. So therefore, as a salesperson, or even as an account manager in a strategic sense, if we focus just on a small number of people, we're never, ever going to understand the complete issues, because each of those stakeholders have completely different buying criteria, but actually they also have different challenges, different problems. And all anybody wants, I think selling is unbelievably easy, simple, not easy, simple. I think all that anybody wants is the best solution for them. The complexity is that each of those different people have a different version of what's best for them. So whether it's procurement, or whether it's the C-level, or whether it's the IT department, or it's line of business, marketing or sales or so forth, they've all got different things they're trying to get out of it. So the real complexity for the salesperson, I think, is first of all, understanding all that and getting around all those people, and then tailoring whatever they're pitching to all those individual people. There's an extra complexity as well. So it's not just about finding out about where they all are. As you know, I love the word align, as you do, Fred. It's all about align to the buying process. So the additional complexity is that different stakeholders can well be at different phases of their buying process in an individual project. So for example, one person in the stakeholders might have said to them, I don't even recognize there's a need. We don't need to do anything. Meanwhile, somebody else has decided the answer is X, Y, Z. And there's a myriad of options in between. And people don't stay in the buying process, they move up and down. There's a misconception that once I decide what I want, but we know customers, they say, I want X, you talk to them, you challenge them, and they say, actually, I didn't really mean X, what I meant was Y. Because customers don't always know what the art of the possible is either. So it's about understanding. So as a salesperson, it's being much, I think, selling and account management is much more analytical and much more intelligent than people give it credit for. So it's those people who plan and monitor and keep relationships going, of course, as well. But it's not about the relationship just for being a nice person, people buy from people. It's genuinely understanding the full clarity of the business issue, the company issue, and the individual role issue, and making sure I put all those together before I even try and tailor my pitch or my solution, whatever it is. So I think that's the key. Stop going back to the old-fashioned one of the decision maker. Frankly, that's very last century.
Okay, so lots of different people, lots of information, and it's about kind of keeping track of that and using that and kind of using that intelligently to generate your next actions.
Yeah.
Some people do this excellently, and some people just don't. Yeah. Why do you think people might not do this? What do you think the blocker there is?
I think we know from a lot of research that a lot of salespeople just pitch too soon. So as soon as we hear a little signal that goes, hey, I'm interested, the customer goes, oh, they're clearly interested in something, a buying signal, whatever you want to call it, they just rush in too soon. So the whole piece of understanding that they're behaving like a salesperson, not a consultant. The biggest message I tell to salespeople is stop selling. Chill, calm down, stop selling. And they go, oh my God, I'm going to go up to my management. The biggest thing I've learned is how to stop selling. I said, yeah. And then tell the sales director to talk to me because I'll justify it. Stop selling so hard and try and be consultative. So go in with a mindset of, I'm trying to understand what your issues and challenges are. And of course, behind the scenes, do some research about what they are likely to be, because you should do your research, obviously, in the industry and the company and so forth. But I think that's a real core of thinking, stop selling, calm down. So that's a mindset thing. Sometimes they're just not being told. So when I do training and I just do a very simple 4-box model of saying, actually, there are 4 types of buyers-ish, blah, C-level, line of business, finance, procurement, and IT. And people just go, duh, that's so obvious. All you're dealing with is in this tiny little person here. So IT salespeople typically sell to IT. And I wrote down a few research that I share with people. And I think this blows my mind every time I read it. For IT purchases, this is very specific to the industry I sell into and train into. If anyone would like to guess, what percentage of IT decisions, so buying IT, does not involve IT department at all? Anyone like to guess what that is? Can put in chat, bit of interaction. Can't get the trainer out of me. Actually, Gavin, maybe I've made it out to be too good. At 29, 50% is a bit high, 29%. 20. So IT, if it's an IT system, they're going to be involved. But like 10 years ago, it would have been 90% and no line of business. And then the interesting other thing is, but 52%, for those people who've got 50%, 52% don't even use the IT budget. So many salespeople are out there doing the old qualifying. Have you got a budget? Well, the IT department might not have the budget because they're using the business unit budget, because it's line of business people that they're actually involved in 72% of the decisions. And all those bits of research I'm quoting are from Gartner, Forrester, and CompTIA. So they're different pieces of research. But I think that's mind-blowing. And once you share that with people, they go, oh yeah, there are many more people involved, and you need to find out who else is involved. And some other bit of research, which I think, and I check it out every time I do this, so anecdotally from my own experience as well, most account managers are only speaking to about half the number of people involved in the decision-making process. But if you're only speaking to half the people, how on earth can you possibly have a full understanding of the whole picture, and how on earth can you possibly tailor it? So if somebody else is speaking to 75% of them, they've got an advantage over you. And that's when price becomes less of an issue, of course. But arguably not even an issue at all, Mike Wilkinson. But yeah, so that's what I feel strongly about.
Well, Michael, no, brilliant. Claire, again, I know we could talk about this for hours, and we have done on the podcast series where we tell everyone counterintuitively not to do stuff like stop selling. So I've said I hope no one takes this and edits this video where I've said salespeople need to be slick, and you said stop selling. We might shoot ourselves in our foot for any more work. So I think
commented by Paul in the chat there, 5 years, DMU's moved from 6 to over 12. Yeah, not surprised at all. Very normal.
Got the stuff. So, look, Claire, thank you so much for jumping in and joining us.